We want to give a big thank you to the sponsor of this video, Epic Games, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is available right now on the Epic Games Store. Download it using our link in the description below. Fallen Order is set in one of our favorite periods in the Star Wars timeline, right after the events of Revenge of the Sith, when the Jedi have been branded traitors and hunted down on the orders of Emperor Palpatine. You play as Cal Kestis, a Jedi Padawan who's escaped the Empire's purge and is now living in hiding, shut off from the Force to avoid detection. But soon he's pulled back into the middle of the never-ending battle between the light and dark sides, where he'll work with the Resistance to fight the Empire, seek out hidden Force-sensitive children, and rebuild the Jedi Order. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is available now for $59.99. Click the link below to download it on the Epic Games Store using our supported creator code Infographics, and get a free Stormtrooper skin for Fortnite when you do. If you're a longtime fan of the Infographics show, then you probably saw our previous video, Man Who Eats Everything from Human Flesh to Live Eels. In that video, we told you about an unfortunate soul named Tara, who grew up in 19th century France and suffered from a freakish medical condition that saw him have an unstoppable appetite. Always hungry, Tara ate everything he could get his hands on, and eventually was kicked out into the streets by his destitute parents, whom he literally had eaten out of house and home. Eventually, he got a job as a sideshow performer and did everything on stage, from live eels to even kittens. Well, we're back again with another weird eating story, and once more the star of today's show comes to us from France. Seriously, isn't France supposed to be famous for their snooty high-class palates? Go to France and ask for ketchup and see how many people look down their long French noses at you in disgust at your peasant tastes. Yet, for a second time though, our weird eater comes to us from France, which makes us wonder about some of those French stereotypes. Michel Lotito was born in Grenoble, France in 1950, and seemed for all intents and purposes another healthy, perfectly normal child. As he grew up though, he started getting weird cravings, and we're not talking about salted butter mixed with vanilla ice cream weird, which by the way is delicious. We're talking about legit weird, like fresh dirt weird or paper napkins. Late in his teens, those weird cravings grew even stronger, and eventually he was diagnosed with pica, an eating disorder that affects millions of people, though rarely with the severity that it affected Michel. It turns out that pica is one of the most widely studied eating disorders, and the population of a mental institution can have anywhere from 4% to 26% of its patients suffering from this malady on top of other possible mental disorders. Clearly, it's very widespread, yet we don't regularly hear stories about people eating things like metal. That's because most pica sufferers tend to limit themselves to discrete items, such as pieces of plastic, hair, cloth, even small articles of clothing. Patients can actually pull out strands of their own hair and eat it, and one woman who complained of intestinal pains for months was discovered to have a 14-pound hairball in her stomach. The condition comes with many potential health hazards, as to be expected. One of the biggest, though, is a lack of nutritional intake, as the individual feels full from eating non-nutritional items. This can lead to severe weight loss and a threat of catching other illnesses, as the body is too weak to fight off infections. Infections can also come from within, as individuals eat contaminated items, and the ingestion of some of the items, such as metal, can lacerate the insides and pose a very serious threat. In 2008, a British woman was discovered with a whopping 78 pieces of cutlery in her stomach, and she had somehow managed to avoid cutting herself or puncturing her esophagus or stomach while eating sharp forks, though she did say that she purposefully avoided knives. Treatment for pica requires ongoing therapy, and there's no surefire solution to this eating disorder. It's likely that a sufferer will continue to consume innutritious items their whole life, and instead, treatment is all about managing what you eat and how much of it you consume. For Michel Lotito, though, treatment was never an option, and instead he chose to embrace his very unusual eating disorder. At age 16, Michel got into the sideshow business, realizing that he could turn his talent for eating the strange and dangerous into personal profit. He began by eating small items, such as cutlery and other small pieces of metal and plastic, but soon he was moving on to bigger objects. Between 1957 and 1997, Michel ate an estimated 9 tons of metal, which is about 9 tons more than the average human being. The items he ate included a total of 18 bicycles, 15 shopping carts, 7 TV sets, 6 full-size chandeliers, 2 beds, 1 pair of skis, a coffin, 400 meters of steel chain, and the piece de la resistance, an entire Cessna airplane. A Cessna 150 to be exact. He didn't exactly just start munching on the airplane though, it took him several years to complete the feat, eating up to 2 pounds a day of metal. The plane was broken down into small pieces so that he could successfully swallow them, as his prodigious appetite was not backed up with adamantium teeth. If you think he skimped out on the interior parts of the plane, guess again, because he ate not just the metal but the rubber from the seats, the glass in the windows and the cockpit displays, and all the various wiring. Incredibly, Michel, known as Monsieur Mange Tout, which means Mr. Eats All, never once hurt himself eating all this metal and other weird items, nor did he suffer ill effects from toxic materials. Doctors credit this to an unusually thick stomach and intestinal lining, which protected him from the sharpened metal bits and any toxic residues on them. To wash down all that junk, he used a large amount of water, regular tap water or sometimes mineral water. Michel would die on June 25, 2007 at the age of 57. Although not from anything that he ate, he passed away from completely natural causes, though some believe that the special diet he had enjoyed his whole life nonetheless had something to do with his early passing. For us, the biggest mystery here is what it must have felt like on the way out, because the thought of all that sharp, jagged glass and metal going through the exit route scares us to death. Other weird eaters have included the likes of Todd Robbins, who also performs at carnivals and sideshows. He's best known for doing things such as swallowing swords, although he doesn't eat them, and hammering a nail into his nostrils. He also has an affinity for eating glass, though he doesn't suffer from pica and simply does it for the wow value. He generally eats light bulbs and has eaten over 5,000 light bulbs throughout his career. During his routine, he'll screw in a light bulb into a lamp to show the audience it's real, and then unscrew it, remove the metal off the bottom, and then bites into the bulb as if he were eating an apple. Robbins' routine certainly comes with risk, and he's cracked his teeth several times from chowing down on glass. He also admits that he has no idea if eating a light bulb will hurt him or not, remarking that once he's eaten it, he has no idea what it might do on its way through his body. To keep his insides healthy, he maintains a strict diet that includes drinking lots of herbal drinks and eating lots of fiber. Teresa Widener is no sideshow performer and instead prefers to keep her weird eating a discreet affair. Unlike most pica sufferers though, Teresa doesn't like eating many different types of weird objects, just one: rocks. She says she knows she has a hoard of edible rocks in her kitchen that gives her comfort, and she chows down on them as she feels she needs to. Clearly, Teresa's condition is linked to some underlying psychological issues, but so far, her self-treatment doesn't seem to have caused any permanent harm. Teresa explains that she enjoys going out to look for new rocks to eat and even likes to suck the mud off of them before pocketing new acquisitions for her dining collection. If a rock is too big, she'll smash it to pieces with a special hammer before chowing down, and she'll even chew on them with the teeth on the left side of her mouth, which definitely can't be very good for those teeth. Teresa says that she really likes the earthy flavor of rocks though, and they seem to bring her great comfort. We guess that people have certainly done weirder things for comfort, but Teresa says that she does get stomach aches and rarely goes to the toilet. Lastly, we have the story of the subject of an episode of TLC's reality show My Strange Addictions. Known as Cassie, this young woman developed her eating disorder when her husband passed away, and she ended up widowed at the age of 26. Grieving for her husband, Cassie developed a deep depression, and to cope, she would carry her husband's ashes with her everywhere she went. She got into the habit of even cooking meals for him, which she herself would not eat, and she would go to bed with the ashes next to her. You probably already know exactly where this is going, don't you? Well, one day she was carrying the vase with her late husband's ashes in it, and some of them accidentally spilled out, and she got them on her fingers. Not wanting to simply wash them off, she decided to lick them off her fingers. After that, she could no longer stop herself from sampling the ashes from time to time, sneaking in tastes throughout her day. It might be easy to make fun of or be disgusted by people such as Cassie, but clearly, she suffered a deep psychological trauma at a very early age. Expecting to be wed for the rest of her life, Cassie's marriage ended just a few short years after it began, when her husband Sean died from a severe asthma attack. Tragedy can have a funny effect on someone's mind, and though the act may be appalling to the rest of us, eating Sean's ashes was likely a way for her wounded mind to heal from the pain of such a great loss. Do you know anyone that suffers from pica? Do you have any weird cravings? Let us know in the comments, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more great content.